Welcome to the Dance to Heal podcast. I'm your host, Jenny C. Cohen. Join me as I share stories of how life is a dance. I'm a cancer survivor, mother of two, and an award-winning performer who found that mind and body connected movement is vital to healing in a way that is safe and tailored to your life. I created Dance to Heal Wellness featuring the Spotlight Confidence Formula and also authored the best-selling award-winning book, Outside In Recovery, Dancing My Way Back to Myself After Breast Cancer. I will bring new ways to help you on your dance journey and healing path. Are you ready to move? Dance to Heal starts now. Welcome to the Dance to Heal podcast. I'm your host, Jenny C. Cohen, and today we have the most amazing guest. Not only is he the owner of the splendid clinic because he's a physical therapist by trade, he has become a keynote speaker around the art of service, how to create raving fans. In this day and age, folks, we really need all the help we can get. Seriously, I promise you, you will be in for a treat with Regie Tiu. Welcome, Regie.
Hey, Jenny. Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited. I'm trying to stay focused on the questions, y'all, but Regie is such a star to me because of the fact that I'm in my 50s. I'm going to get emotional. I love seeing Asian American men step up in leadership, and you really move me by being willing to step up and be seen. Okay, because we're both in memberships, my wonderful audience family, where we're being called to be almost anti-Asian. Okay, so my audio people, Reggie's Asian, okay, like me. Sometimes our names don't. You can't see that. And for us to be visible is a big thing here in America. And we love being here in the States. It's also a learned skill for us to be visible. And I love the fact that you're really coming out of being a clinician and being a leader on the stage, speaking about how important it is to be of service in a way that creates people that rave about you. Will you explain to me how that happened and tell the audience why that was important to shift in that direction?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Jenny. Because for me, it all started from when I was younger. Because I grew up in a poor family in the Philippines, and I was bullied for being different. I was one of two Chinese kids in the neighborhood. And back then, it's people pick on you because you're different. It maybe until now, but that had stuck with me. And for the longest time, I've always wanted something better for myself and my family. I've always heard of other people saying how great life is in America. So since I was little, my focus and even my parents, everybody's focus is you have to get to the States. You have to get to the States. So I studied hard, got my degree, came to America. I came with $50 in my pocket. Still went through a lot of hardships, humiliation and embarrassment, even betrayal, until one day when I got fired from my job. I had more than 10 years. That was the wake up moment for me. I said, I will never put my faith in anybody else's hands again. I don't want to get fired again. So that's when I started the clinic. Now, with your question is, why did I decide to do the speaking? Because I came to a crossroad. I said, my future goal, do I want to keep growing the clinic, have multiple locations to increase the EBITDA so my exit strategies, when I sell, I can get more multiples? Or do I do something that I'm passionate about? And for the longest time, I've always had this something in me, maybe because I was bullied and I didn't have a voice growing up. Nobody listened to me. People thought that they treat you like you're dumb or something, like your opinion don't matter. And in the Asian culture, we are quiet. We're taught to be submissive and basically keep our mouth shut. So I've always had that something in me that I wanted to share my story because I know I can motivate people, inspire people who have been in the same journey with nothing, coming to America, have a better life. So I decided to, instead of growing multiple clinics, I decided to learn how to speak because it's not something it's not natural to me. I've been quiet my whole life. Yes, in front of my patients, I can speak, but that's different because that's my profession. I'm trained. But when you're speaking on stages or even just telling my story to other people, it's very different. And I took steps to learn how to speak, communicate better, because I want to share my message and I want to share my story with other people and what I have built in the business and guide other people, even if it's not inspiring them, even guiding other business owners, specifically service-based business owners, to be able to create the raving fans that help me grow my business from scratch. So I feel like that's the legacy I want to live and not leave behind because I want to do it right now.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that more in depth explanation of why you shifted more into speaking about it. My wonderful audience, you're in for a treat because Reggie's now gifting anyone who would like to opt into his newsletter. You're getting the Raving Fan Blueprint. And so, what you can do is if you're watching the YouTube and you have access, you can go right to Regie, REGIETIU.com/referral, REFERRAL. What is that? What is that little dash? Dash?
That
Yeah, dash. The little line system, SYSTEM. Okay, so the link is also in the description if you're driving and listening to this. So don't pull over; it's fine. You can come back to the description and access it. I really do want you to also make sure you go to the YouTube because when you see Reggie's kind face, it makes it really easy to push the button and opt into his blueprint. With AI, especially now in 2026, and everything's totally shifting for us, there's a human component we really want you to know you have access to. Reggie's really accessible. Like if you want to message him on any of the social media that you're seeing him on, he'll answer your questions. You can even put questions about anything we're speaking of in the YouTube episode, and we'll go back and answer you. Because some of my people are shy, Reggie. They're a little bit more hesitant to reach out because they think, oh, are you stalk? Like they're afraid that we're going to think of they're stalkers because I have quite a lot of strange questions come to me. But if you ask us any questions on the YouTube episode, we'll be sure to answer that. Okay, just so you know that, folks. All right. So, question for you, Reggie, because most of the time people think, oh, it's just because we're Asian and we're just always so willing to do things. It's not. It's just not that to create a raving fan. It's not just because we're willing to do anything you want for us. That's not what creates it, is it?
No, I created that raving fan from the experience I had working in another physical therapy clinic before I started my own. Because I realized that, well, in that clinic that I worked at, when I first started working there, to give you an idea, we were 800 square feet, so it's a small clinic. In the years that I stayed there for more than 10 years, but it didn't take that long. I think after 2, 3 years, we already needed to expand. So we grew it to twice the size that it was at that time. What had contributed to that was the way we treat our patients, the way we make them feel. And then I didn't know this quote before, but now I always remember this quote from Maya Angelou is people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And it just, for me, it hits home because you can tell your patient any treatment and you can tell them what their diagnosis is. They may not believe you, and definitely that's not a guarantee that they will come back to you for the treatment because most of the time patients come to us for 2 or 3 times a week for several weeks, depending on the condition. I found with my experience that when you connect with them, there's more buy-in. That you build the connection, you build that trust, and that's when they can come back. Because here's the thing, it's important for us to get our patients to come back because if they don't come back, we don't have a chance to help them. We can only help them when they come into the clinic. So when I started, we didn't have that in place. And as I talk to people, I realized that that's what really is getting them to come back. Not all the credentials, because to give you, I'm going to be very transparent. When I first came to the country, I had this very big imposter syndrome. I felt like I'm inferior because my my schooling is, we feel like it's a lot lower class than people who graduated here. So I was so obsessed in taking up courses, certifications, keep adding those initials after my name. By the end, I have 5 sets of initials after my name. Made you feel better. But do patients really listen to you? Not really. Now, I don't even, well, I use my initial as a PT when I write my newsletter for my clinic because I want them to know that I'm a physical therapist. Aside from that, I barely use any of my initials, especially the remaining 4 that I gathered, work hard for. Not really. But people still, they still trust what I tell them. It's because you created that bond already with those relationship with those people. And through the years, I noticed that that's what really was growing the clinic. There were things that I said, I can do better, but I didn't have full control. I ran that clinic for a long time, but I still don't have full control because the boss has to say yes first. Until when that one day that he fired me, and later on, shortly after, I decided to open up my own place. I said, I will do what I think will be best for my patients and run it the way I think it's best for them and create that experience. And that's how I did it. And then we just kept improving as we do things and we look at how our patients are responding. Are we building that connection? Is it in alignment with our values? And we just keep improving along the way. And that's where our name came from, because it's Restore Plus, because the restore is restoring their health, restoring them to their normal function. The plus is the experience that comes with it, because we create that client experience or that patient experience that's above and beyond everybody else.
Yeah, I wish we were closer. I'm all the way in Utah, and you're on the East Coast, aren't you, Reggie? Yeah, I mean, like for me, having an occupational therapy background, I absolutely understand what you mean when we talk about setting up rapport and having our clients buy into what we're helping them towards. Because that's really why I even went into the industry of occupational therapy before. I haven't worked because I ended up just applying it to my children and homeschooling them, and then they became elite athletes. Like I still to this day cannot do a cartwheel, but they can do aerials because I could break down the movement, and I had their buy-in, right? They were willing to work for it. What you were saying brought up something back in October when my husband had to have emergency surgery, and our family policy is that when you're really sick, we pretty much do a 24-hour coverage of my husband at bedside if they allow it at the hospital, because I know how understaffed the nursing is usually, and I also know my husband is so independent. He would be beeping them every 45 minutes to get up, and it would drive them crazy. And then they would just ignore all of his calls. So, because he had to have like a nasal gastric tube and then full abdominal surgery. And, I knew because of my background, right, that there was a buy-in. I had to get them into understanding I was actually there to help them, because most staff don't want a family member there being a pain in the butt in the hospital. Like, true talk, right, Reggie? And it's not because the family members are trying to be that. We're just so concerned about the person who's actually not well. And then there was also buy-in from my husband because, as he felt sicker, he would be feeling that I was nagging him when really I was just trying to keep him safe. And I had to have a conversation with a mentor coach who was like, "What are you committed to, Jenny?" And I was like, "Oh, what do you mean?" Because it sounds like you're committed to resentment. And I was like, internally, okay, so my audio people, I just made a gas face. You have to come to the YouTube to see my face. It's very good. And so I was really taken back, and then I felt in my body, yes, I was committed to resentment, because it felt I was feeling resentful at point because we had already been home 3 days and he hadn't been sleeping. So it was like 2 weeks he had been sleeping with this huge scar, a lot of like gas, all this post-op stuff that he was suffering from, and I was feeling a lot of resentment still caring for him. So then I thought, well, what would I like to be committed towards? And audience members, this is going to be key for you in implementing what Reg is suggesting through his Raving Fan Blueprint. What are you committed towards? Like I thought, oh, has an OT, not because I don't love my husband. I'm not going to commit to his well-being and healing because I really have little choice in that. I can't make him better. He has to make himself better. Like, right? I am committed to providing a safe environment. I'm committed to him feeling safe. And then all of a sudden, everything shifted for me. It wasn't that I had to work really hard or do things beyond my physical abilities because I'm 57, post cancer, and full menopause. I get tired. But if I'm committed towards his safety, then that 80% of the whole process that's really like, so I'm going to swear, Reggie, I hope it's okay with you. They
That's
say,
right.
most of life is 80% bitch and 20% easy, right?
Yes.
Right? Like recovery folks, the process of fans and customer service basically, right? 80% of it is a bitch, folks. Like just real talk, and 20% is easy. The 100% buy-in is what are you truly committed towards? Like for me, even getting on a call and speaking to my doctor's staff, right? I'm committed to clear communication. I'm committed to like seeing them as a human being on the other line. So I rarely get any pushback unless the person's in a really, really bad mood, Reggie, in which case we can't do anything about that, right? But I'm going to really focus on my clear communication with them. And then I have had to teach my children that because they're BIPOC, they're half Asian, and so they're very hesitant to use their voices sometimes, Reggie. And so I have to click, well, what's your intent? Why are you calling them? And just stay focused on that. So, my audience members, in this conversation between Reggie and I, what would you like to commit to in having raving fans around you in your life?
That's a powerful point, Jenny. Now, one thing that you mentioned is it's interesting in my experience that when you mentioned that if they're having a bad day, maybe you can't do something about that or you can't change it. In my experience, a lot of times when we have patients, because we see thousands of patients like for the years, you're going to have patients who are not easy to handle or to connect with. And you're going to have patients that they might be on the bad day. In our case, it can happen more often or more frequent because patients come in because they have pain. I would love to think that they came in just to hang out with us, but that's not the case. So they came in with pain. So we will get those irate patients, or we get the patients who are just not in a mood. I've noticed though, and this one thing is, as long as you show empathy and you still treat them with respect, they calm down. And even if at that point they don't smile and hug you, but still you'll see a change. By the end of your session, they start connecting more. Sometimes in a couple of sessions, you'll see that, oh, it's a totally different person. So I would like to invite people that even if, because we don't know what they're going through, and some of the things, the disabilities, some of these things we can't see. A lot of them actually we can't see. Still, I would invite you to show empathy to them, connect with them, still give it a chance. Because even if you don't reverse it fully at that time, but you're planting the seed, and it's important for them to know that we are for their best interest. I had patients who they come off abrupt at the beginning because they've been wronged multiple times. They've been going to clinics or doctors who have not helped them or hurt them more. And now they're so defensive, they're so guarded that they come in, okay, you know what? You're already guilty until you prove yourself innocent. So when we connect with them in such a way, and the blueprint that we have gives you the foundation. And with my staff, we have extensive training on how we communicate, how you provide that great experience to all your patients. You'll see that they open up. And it's not going to be 100%, But for most of our patients, it has made a difference. And more importantly, for the staff, they feel great about it because the fulfillment is there that they were able to connect with this person. They see a change from being rowdy or rude to being nice. And sometimes in a couple of sessions, they're like your raving fans. They're your friends. Or in our clinic, we call everybody, you're a part of our family. And then they get that sense of fulfillment too. So you have a buy-in not only from your patients, but from your staff as well.
That's an excellent point. I really love this. I really love the way you reframe that because we have a saying in our family because most of the time people don't realize that they're carrying around their own outside representation of how they're feeling. Most people. And my family has a joke that they see when it shifts because when I first meet someone, I'll usually just redirect the attention back to how they're doing, even if I'm the client, because that's just a trick that I do. Not because I'm trying to fool them. I'm genuinely caring how that person is. So then I know what to do after. Because if they're saying that they have a bad day, then I'm going to be tailoring how I speak and request things a different way, right? And there were a couple of nights when, because there was a sofa bed that pulled out into a bed in the hospital room. So by the eighth night, I really needed sleep because I wasn't capable anymore of caring for my husband in a safe way myself because I hadn't slept with him for the other 5 days before. So the night staff would take over and he would tell me, oh, this one was really good and this one was like just MIA. I couldn't ever get her to come back. Right. And I would see her the next morning and I would thank them both. Thank you so much for taking care of my husband while I was sleeping. And they would shift completely because they were so ready to be defensive. And I'd
Yes,
be like,
especially
thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I had to rest. It's been day 7 of no sleep for me. And I really thank you for just watching over him for safety. And then all of a sudden it was like, can we get you anything? How can I help you? And I was just like, yeah, that's a secret weapon because no one wants to be accosted with accusations no matter what the positioning is. You
Mhm.
know, it wasn't a thing where it wouldn't have helped anyone for me to say, hey, you were MIA last night while I was sleeping. Because like you were saying before, we never know where someone's coming from. There have been times when we as a family, because sometimes we'll have to make calls and it's on speakerphone, and they'll hear the shift in the person's voice where they're gruff in the beginning and all of a sudden, they're telling us what they're doing for the weekend. And I really want that for your audience where you can shift someone even if they're having a bad day. Make sure you take advantage of Reggie's Raving Fan Blueprint. I do want to remind you all because this is why you're on my podcast about the whole self-care thing. If you go to danceandheal.com, we've come up with a new gift on that domain. Okay. So you got the other exercise classes from me before, that's fine. But there's something else where we're doing muscle testing for you to figure out what's right and wrong for you. This is super important because if you're having a bad day and it's hard to implement Reggie's wonderful blueprint suggestions for you, you may need to ask yourself, am I not taking care of myself? Because if you're not caring for yourself, it's impossible for you to be there for anyone else.
Correct. Yeah, leading with gratitude, like I said, is very important. The way you shifted that, when you say thank you to the person, it just lights them up. All of a sudden, you get close to them. The wall comes down. The wall just comes crumbling down. So I love the way you shifted that the mindset of the person and you reframe instead of being, oh, this person is no good. The way I see a lot of people take care of handle that is I'm gonna file a complaint so you'll do a better job. A lot of times that doesn't work because for me, my personal experience, I've been in the hospital for many times. I had 5 surgeries in my life already. When I was younger, I was joking with my friends. I should be a stockholder in the hospital because I've been in and out a lot. But one thing I notice is when the nurses, they're busy. But I love feeding my nurses. I buy them stuff because when you're nice to them, they take care of you. But if you threaten them, here's the thing. on a legal aspect. Yes, you can file a complaint or you can threaten them with that. They don't have to go above and beyond for you. They can do the bare minimum just to not be liable. So it's like, okay, you know what? I'm going to do what I can. This is a hypothetical situation. Okay, guys, I will do whatever I can to keep you alive. Nothing above that. Nothing to make you comfortable.
Yeah.
But is that what you want? Or do you want the person to do what they can to the fullest of their ability to make you comfortable? You decide how you want to approach it, because one action can lead to them doing the bare minimum. But when you show gratitude, you acknowledge them. Yeah, even if you don't think they deserve it at that point, because they might be going through some things. They're always short-staffed now here in the hospitals.
Always.
Then when you lead with gratitude, you come up with a different result, which is one that I prefer to have.
It's so true, Reggie. So I'm gonna go back to we're we're part of a mastermind audience together where Reggie was one of 5 people picked to do a special presentation in front of the whole group, and there was a story, or maybe I'm mixing up with another time you told a story where you greet your clients that come into your clinic like, we're so happy to see you. Like the day's special because you're here. I remember this part from your stories. And I think everyone wants to be seen that way. So, as much as we want that for ourselves, you will get back what you give out. Remember that, my wonderful audience. If you start the day and you're in a really bad mood and you can't pull out of it and you haven't taken care of yourself and you haven't slept, you haven't gone to the bathroom, you haven't had enough hydration, you didn't eat any food, and you go out there and you're trying to be positive, but you haven't taken care of yourself, you're going to get back that to you. Like what you give out, you will come back to you. I've said that too many times, but you know what I'm saying, audience? Okay, because Reggie's like, you said that 3 times already. I just want you to really hear it, because Reggie gives out warmth and invitation and acceptance, so he's going to get that back. What are you unconsciously giving out and then receiving you don't want anymore? So part of the Raving Fan blueprint that he's gifting you is actually, how do you get more of what you want in your life by what you give out?
Yes, with what you said there, it hits a deep point. Is well, self-care is being selfless, right? So if you're not taking care of yourself, you're not going to be present for other people. And another time in my life that I learned that the rough way is in one of those times I had my surgeries. The doctor came in. I remember the doctor came in, so I was in my bed. I was so busy thinking, when am I gonna get out of this bed so I can go back to work? The doctor said, Reg, how can you take care of other people, or how can you get them well if you yourself are not well? So it's great that this is what you do for your audience, Jenny, because self-care is really, you start with that. It's not being selfish. You start with that so you can serve other people better. You can serve other people to a higher level, to the most that you can. And with what you said earlier, I did mention that as part of my talk there. We're not, well, my staff, we don't want our staff to greet a patient when they come in through the front door. First thing you ask them is, oh, how are you? We don't ask that. Usually that's a polite way of asking, but we don't like asking that, and this is why. Patients come to us because they're in pain. So when they come in and you tell them, Jenny, good morning, how are you? The response most of the time will be, I'm in pain, or miserable. Or I had somebody answered with this way, what do you think? Actually, and that was the ending part. Is when the way now I'm thinking about hers. What do you think, genius? I was like, oh, so next time we're not going to ask that question. So whenever they come in, we always say, great to see you, Jenny. It is, because when you come in, well, we get the chance to change your life today. We get the chance to make you feel comfortable. And for some of my staff who have some difficulty acknowledging that, I tell them, imagine this. you have a patient coming in. Imagine you have your dollar bills coming in because with that patient, you're going to get a salary. Without that patient, you ain't going to get no salary. So for some that couldn't really get what I was telling them in greeting the patient in such a way, sometimes sometimes that connects with them. But most of the time, the staff do get it because the way when they come in, when we hire them, we hire for alignment. So that alignment in our values, we're on the same page. So they do get when I tell them that when we greet patients, we welcome them when they come into the clinic instead of just asking the polite way, how do you feel? Because most of the time, the answer is not very positive.
Mm, mm. Good point. I really love the reminder of the setting and how you greet someone is going to set up how the rest of the whole experience goes for them. I love that you have your employees greet them with "It's great to see you," because who doesn't want to hear that, right? That it's great to see us or me or you. I I went on a work trip with my husband once where the newer CEO started speaking to him like they mistook him for someone else. And she didn't fix it. She didn't acknowledge it. And I remember feeling like, oh, I've had that experience when I was going through my cancer treatment and I was bald and I got to a dance event and someone was like, "Oh, Jenny, it's great to see you. How did you come up from Atlanta?" I'm like, "I'm not that Jenny. That Jenny's about this much taller and she doesn't have cancer and she has hair." And I was kind of like, "Do you know which Jenny I am?" And because like when I go away to these business trips for my husband, audience members, I'm going to tell you on a little trick I do. I have my husband show me all their pictures and I learn all their names, even if I forget it within 24 hours. But at least when I greet someone, I can act like, oh, I know who they are, because it really makes a big difference when someone recognizes you, even if they don't quite remember your face. So remember that how you see people is going to be how you're perceived. How you see other people, how you treat other people is actually going to reflect back to how you're seen by them, right? Because, like the quote from Maya Angelou that Reggie referred to, people won't remember anything mostly than how you made them feel, you know? And what's, I do need to end this interview. I think you just have to come back for another conversation, Reggie, because I didn't even get to I had other questions to ask you that weren't part of the ones you sent me. So we'll have to come back, come back, audience. We'll have them come back. But what's one thing that you would like someone to be aware of in this, besides getting your Raving Fan Blueprint? All right, that's unnegotiable, audience. You need to get that because I think it's going to improve your life experience going forward in 2026. Besides that, though, what's one or two things you would suggest anyone do if they want to shift so they're surrounded by their own raving fans?
The most important part there is you have to have empathy with people. If you want to surround yourself with people who will scream off your name or your company's name off of the rooftops, you have to have that connection with them. The empathy is very important. And then also share your stories with them because stories build connections. And now I see that in this generation, in this day and age, with the AI booming, most of the people that I see now or businesses is asking about AI. How can we automate this? How can AI help me do this? And that's all great. But here's the problem, especially when it's service-based. We still do transactions of person to person. And business is personal. You hear, oh, it's just business, it's not personal. No, business is personal. You have to have that connection. And stories will get you that connection. And then once you connect, you create that experience for them, then you build that trust and that loyalty. So your AI or your automation, your marketing, your ads, that can bring them in. but that experience will keep them with you. And if you don't keep them, then your business is not gonna, it's not gonna grow, or it's not gonna stay long enough, because it costs more on the business side. It costs more to acquire a new client rather than to keep the old one. So that's something that I want everybody to keep in mind, or especially the business owners, even if you're not service based, because the foundation of business is pretty much, it's general, it's universal across different industries. The connection is the one that's being asked for by people now, and that's the one that's missing, and that's the one that cannot be replaced by any AI. So yes, you use technology on one end to start or to finish or to automate and make it easier for you, but then you still have to have that connection with your people.
Thank you so much, Reggie. We'll see you next time. You'll have to come back, okay?
Definitely. No, it was a pleasure. It's my honor.
All right, audience members, we've come to a close from this episode. We will see you next time. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to the Dance to Heal podcast with Jenny C. Cohen. Come back next time to hear stories of inspiring triumph and learn more ways that you can heal yourself. To work with me and continue your journey, visit danceandheal.com. Are you ready to move?